Mafutani yangu ndio akasema haiwezekani na nifanye kwenda kwa CID headquarters kurecord statement, na nikafanya vile, na kufika pale after kumaliza ndio ilikuwa wakati wangu wa kutoweka, ambaye niliambiwa twende ofisi nyingine tuandikishe statement nyingine, lakini kushuka chini nilipata si ofisi, ni huyo alikuwa anaitwa Karaja na huyo mwingine Yuri, ni Yuris jina ya Kikamba, ambayo waliniambia ya kwamba kama kuna dawa yoyote ninatumia, kama nimekunywa dawa siku hiyo. Nikauliza bona, kwani tuenda ofisini ama ni mambo ya dawa vipi? Wakaniambia tunaenda mahali, na kama uko na dawa unahitaji utuambie, kama una ugonjwa utuambie. Nikamwambia mimi nakunywa dawa zingine lakini sina hapa, nilikuwa nimeacha. Na wakati walinichukua kwa gari, kulingana na wale ofisa wengine walikuwa pale kwa DCIO, niliambiwa nisalende simu yangu na nipeane password, na nikafanya vile, maana niliomba kutio sheria, na nikaigizwa kwa gari. Nikauza mwanipeleka wapi na ni usiku, na mbona mumenitenganisha na wale wengine tulikuwa na wao ambao walikuwa mawakili? Wakasema hiyo haiwahusu. So tulianza kutoka kwenye mlango ya CID headquarters, na nikaona tumeelekea njia ya kwenda Kiambu. So nienda nikiwauliza bona mwanipeleka wapi jamani? Kabia usijali, hakuna shida. Kabia nahisi shida. Wakati tulienda kwa muda ndio nikaomba za kuambia tafadhali msiniue. Mimi ni mama, niko na watoto wananihitaji, niko na familia inanihitaji, naomba msimwage damu yangu. Manake sijakula cha mtu wala sijaiba, ila tu nimeleta mafuta, na sielewi ya kwamba nimetolewa katika DCIA office na ninaelekezwa mahali penye sijui. Wakaniambia tulia, hakuna mambo yote itakufanyikia mabaya. Tulifika mahali ikawa sisi tumetoka kwenye lami, tumeingia kwenye rough road. Kwambia jamani, ndugu zangu, pia nyinyi mna wazazi wa mama, mlizaliwa na mama, na vile vile mko na wanawake.
So we've just seen the video whereby we have the private citizen Ann Jerry, who was reiterating on the saga that had actually shaken the energy sector. So like I said before, this is a subject of a fierce tug of war between the private citizen Ann Jerry, then we have the Energy CS and the Kenya Ports Authority. According to the Energy CS, him and the Kenya Ports Authority chairman, they maintain that 100,000 metric tons of fuel, which is valued at 17 billion Kenya shillings, does not belong to Ann Jerry, but belongs to the Galana Petrol. So I don't know where the truth of the matter is, because the matters are in court. But what really struck me was the ordeal that Ann Jerry went through. She told us from what we've heard from the video that the Energy CS directed her to go to the DCI offices. And after going to the DCI offices, after she wrote a statement, she was taken to a certain office that was lower. It was just, I think, like the basement part of the offices by the members of the DCI. And then she was asked some very, very weird questions about the medicine that is taking. And then after that, she was taken to a car, and there was a long ride. She did not understand. She was just beside herself. And when I hear her talking about this, She's still referring to the DCI, mind you. And I am thinking that DCI should be an institution that provides service delivery, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
DCI is the custodian of criminal data, from what I've learned.
Sure.
And they provide, police clearance certificate, and they are the people who are supposed to do criminal investigation for high profile and low profile cases. Now, when it comes to this is definitely a high profile case, and it seems like the DCI are at the center of it, from what I've heard. I'm not alleging anything, but from what Anjeri is actually saying is that these people, this is not this is not what they are supposed to do. They are supposed to do investigation about this situation that we have, this tussle, this tug of war between the private citizen and the government. So for me, I actually think that the people behind are very, very, very powerful figures, because the energy CS just said that no, Anjeri, this oil does not belong to you. It belongs to Galana. The Kenya Ports Authority chairman says the same thing. So who should we believe? Don, what do you think? Interesting.
According to me, this issue, I see maybe the moment when the DCI is allegedly involved in some abduction or in some issues, maybe especially issues to do with abduction. I think now that that move or maybe was political in some way. You understand? Because according to I was reading many comments. People were saying maybe that oil is not does not actually belong to the lady. It belongs to Huru. I don't know. Those are just comments, maybe the way that I've seen. But the moment maybe you see that the people or the DCI or the police are involved in some things, that's a political move.
So this is politics, basically.
According to me, that's politics. And then we have seen the stories. Babu Owino come out and say the way he was abducted, the same script. We have that the Raila Odinga's bodyguard comes and says the way he was abducted, the same script. During the Uhuru's time, there was a moment Pia Dennis Tumbi was abducted, and he came out and said, actually, it's the same stories each and every time. So according to me, that was a political move, and maybe she is just a victim of two bulls that are fighting. You understand? You see, wanasemanga mahali fahali wawili wanapigana, nyazi ndio umia. So I think she's the nyazi in this case, because I think if a person hasn't followed the law, I think there are proper guidelines and proper structures that are there, maybe to prosecute the person and make the person pay for her sins or pay for his sins. So I think the government should change its ways. Last weekend, I saw DP Gachagua saying that the police will not be used, or like this, like the time they took the government, there has not been police killings and police harassments. So according to me, the way that I saw during the time of Mandamano and during now the time of times like this, the statement by Rigathi Gachagua is totally opposite of what is happening on the ground. He should come out clear and maybe the government should come out and give the real story, what happened, because I according to the lady, she mentioned CS being involved in that mix, that the CS of energy, I think. So the government should come out and make a statement regarding it and give a clarity, because President Ruto promised that there will be no extrajudicial killings and things like this, maybe that were happening during the times of Uhuru. He promised that he will do away with these stories, you understand? But the way that the issue is going is still the same.
Well, some Kenyans actually think that Anjeri, she could not be the owner. Maybe she's just covering the face of a faceless tycoon. Yeah, and she doesn't even know the protocols of the oil refinery and all the documents required. Maybe she's just doing this behind a faceless tycoon.
I think that faceless, according to many people, that faceless tycoon in quotes is is Uhuru Kenyatta. Those are allegations. I'm not saying that.
So many people are actually saying that, but it could be not. These are just allegations, though. But I think what the government should do, probably the state agencies that are involved. We have EACC, we have the DCI. These state agencies should just come clean and tell us the truth. I think they know what is going on.
Yeah, they know.
Yeah, they actually know what is going on. And Kenyans right now, the public participation right now on this issue, right now it is the biggest conversation that people are asking. This 17 billion petrol saga, surely. And then all of a sudden, a private citizen like Anne comes to the fore. What is her history in this business, oil business? What are her numbers, you know? So those are some of the questions I think the Kenyans are asking. You cannot take Kenyans for a fool nowadays. You're trying to pit one story with the other. The CS is saying one thing, the KPA authorities are saying the other. And Jerry also has another story. And at the same time, this case on the 17 billion petrol saga is in court. And she received these documents, these court orders, telling her that the 17 billion petrol that she owns is not hers. So it begs the question. I think more needs to be done. We need to know the truth behind it.
So there's an activist, a human activist who was with Anne during her press briefing after she was taken to court yesterday. Let's listen in what the activist was saying.
La kutetea haki za kibinadamu, tunamshukuru mawakili kusababisha mama amepatikana. Manake visa hivi ni vingi sana. Impunity Kenya si jambo geni. Hapa pwani watu wamepotea. Huyu mama kama si mawakili wake, huyu mama angepotea kikweli. Hatakubaliana na masuala hayo. Hii inaitwa impunity, na Rais Ruto pamoja na waziri wake Kindiki lazima waangalie masuala. Wakenya wamechoka. Kama investor kama huyu anatishiwa, anaambiwa kuna mabomba 3. Na je, watu watainvest kwa hii nchi? Nchi ina shida. Nchi ina shida kwa sababu system ya majambazi ndio iko pale. Huyu mama ni Mungu na wakili wake. Na kama si mawakili na Kenya kumuombea, huyu mama wallahi billahi angepotea kabisa. Na masuala haya tumesema si geni. Tunataka koti heshimiwe. Mawakili wanaheshimu koti, ndio maana wanakuja kotini. Lakini serikali ina impunity, contempt kibao, hawajali kwa sababu wao ni serikali. Hatakubaliana na sisi kama Wakenya, tutafuatilia jambo hili, na huyu mama amehofia usalama wake, na kitu ingimfanyikia huyu mama ama hawa mawakili, ni serikali ya Kenya, polisi wamekuwa involved. That's all.
What stood out from what he was saying, the human rights activists?
Yeah, from what I observed.
For me, system ya majambazi. That is what people are saying. Kenya yetu say it's being ruled by a system called the system ya majambazi. I don't know whether
But
you
it's the same
subscribe to the same speech.
It's the same story. Maybe they say that during Moi Pia there were issues like this, but I mean not in minimal, but in excess. But the same story, because I remember that song System ya Majambazi was.
Yeah, I know the song that you're talking about.
It's actually an old song, so that means that if that used to happen back then and it's happening right now, means that there is no difference difference between maybe those regimes. You see, as much as the regime may be having its cons and pros, they have. If a system has its own positive issues, of course there is a negative hidden somewhere, and those now what the negatives are hidden somewhere. You do sometimes to a common mwananchi, you may never know if it's in excess or it is in minimal. You understand? Because some things are done maybe as a cover up of. They say serikali ni kubwa, so you never know the depth of which the hand of serikali can reach to some matters. Ndio. So if you have a comment on what we are discussing about Anne issues, you can comment there. Tell us what you think on this issue. Hapo kwa comment section tuko live. It's not a recorded show, so that pia your comment will be, or your view will be read in the broadcast, na pia kwe vyoke skike, wanasema ongea skike. Yeah.
Interest twist of turns as when I had this story actually on the 17 billion oil import deal, and then they put a face into it. There is a woman involved, a private citizen called Anne Jerry. And then they said that this woman went to see the CS of Energy. Afterwards, then she left and went to the DCI offices. And then she disappeared. I was like, okay, it doesn't make sense. She went to the DCI office. Probably they saw something that is not adding up. And then all of a sudden, I was thinking that maybe this woman is really high profile and probably a certain tycoon or an investor who's been working in Kenya for a while. But we don't know anything about Anne Jerry. She calls herself a businesswoman who has been in this oil business for a while. And she's at the center of this controversy. And then yesterday, she comes out of the court, and then she narrates this horrible ordeal that she had to go through with her abductors, where she was abducted, she was blindfolded, she was humiliated. She even told us a story of how she oh my God, she urinated on herself because she could not access the toiletries. It was just sad, and she is a mother. But then again, I really thank God that she's okay. And I think the truth will come out somehow, no matter how these powerful figures. I don't know who these powerful figures are. Is it the government? Are they the investors? Are they the interested parties? She is a person of interest, actually, in this case, I think.
Majina naitwa David Chumo. Mimi ni wakili wa mama. Mimi ndo nilifile instructions mara ya kwanza tarehe 8 baada ya hawa kuchukua mafuta ya mama kupeleka Kipevu kwenda ku unload. We got orders stopping them, arresting the ship. Orders arresting the ship and stopping the disposal of the oil of the oil. That was on 8th. On 9th, mama was arrested. On 10th, 11th, they discharged the ship. And the ship now, it was discharged into deep seas as you're speaking. So shida ni kwa nini mama, what was the reason to put court orders if these court orders are being disobeyed? So what is the reason of court orders? And then today we are being told that the court orders has been discharged, and yet the judge did not address the issue of contempt. Where is justice? Where is justice for mama? Yes, maisha yake kwa hatarini.
And now we will walk step. We are going to go step with her. Walipopote tunaenda na yeye. Wakitumaliza itakuwa ni pamoja tu. Wakituachilia ni pamoja.
Serikali imekuwa majambazi.
Sawa kidogo. Yeah. Kama shirika la kutetea haki za kibinadamu.
So that was the story behind the 17 billion fuel ownership, which has ignited controversy. So I think we should move forward, moving on swiftly to another story that is one of the biggest conversations currently, matters to do with the cost of living. And also yesterday at the parliamentary buildings and at the Senate, we saw honorables making submissions on what they had about President Ruto's State of the Nation speech. And there are some very interesting submissions there, Don.
Yeah, so we had a few MPs maybe who made major points about President Ruto's state of address. We can first listen to Let's first listen to Owen Baya, what he said about President Ruto's State of the Nation address. Yeah, as you know, Owen Baya is a deputy majority leader in the National Assembly.
That the many things that he has done cumulatively, there is hope for this country, a hope that his better or his bottom-up economic transformation agenda is going to transform this country, put it on the steady, and that this country is looking forward to better days than where we have come from. So I want to commend the president for this speech, a speech filled with hope, a speech filled with promise, but also a speech filled with important items and activities that he has undertaken in the first 1 year to ensure that the country, this ship has been put on the steady. Honorable Speaker, one of the most important things that I thought I picked in this speech, Honorable Speaker, is that better is not just about economic transformation, but it is also about, as he states it in his fourth paragraph, it's also about social justice. It's about inclusivity. It's about democracy. It's also about protection of the marginalized. Honorable Speaker, very many people did not go into the depth of what better is about. It is about social justice. Very many people in this country have suffered, and very many people have suffered under state apparatus in this country. We heard about the many killings that were being carried about by DCI. We heard about the Rivayala bodies. We heard about people being killed by instruments of government. Better has brought that protection of the marginalized, protection of human rights, and protection of the state of Kenya and the people that live within it. So, Honorable Speaker, as we talk about transformation, we are not just transforming the country economically, but also to transform the social justice, to transform the fight against corruption in this country, and Honorable Speaker, to also to bring law and order. Honorable Speaker, very many people, I'm sure, were surprised when the president actually fired some of the officers in government. Some of them were taken to court very fast on allegation of corruption, something that we had not seen, to drag in investigation for many years in the past. But, Honorable Speaker, we have seen what better also means in the social justice sector. Honorable Speaker, if you go through the president's speech, you also see that he notes and he is aware that we are in extreme difficult conditions economically as a country. He knows that. He doesn't run away from that fact. He notes it, but he does not just note and step there, but he gives us a way in which we can get out of the doldrums that we find ourselves in this country. First, Honorable Speaker, he talks about the transformation in agriculture, the inputs he has made, the kind of infrastructure laid out in agriculture. Kenya is still an agrarian country. The manufacturing in this country will come from nowhere else but from agriculture. It behoves on the head of state to ensure that he develops the sector of agriculture. And, Honorable Speaker, the subsidies in fertilizer, the seeds, the input, the credit that goes into agriculture.
That is Owen Baya, the Deputy Majority Leader, was just delivering his submission there on the statement or the submission made by President Ruto, the State of the Nation address. He had some good things to say. I don't think he had any bad thing to say, saying that President Ruto is actually doing something to ensure that Kenya comes out of the hole that it is in. That they keep on referring to how they found the country before they came into government. And I feel like that is not something that we need to hear right now, because they have had the time to analyze the situation economically. Yeah. They have had the time to look at the Treasury Department. They've had the time to actually deal with the KRA and maybe look at the mechanisms on how they're supposed to collect revenue. We know that government revenue mostly comes majorly from taxes and also maybe grants, but taxes majorly from the taxpayers. And 1 year later, I strongly feel that probably President Ruto's heart is in the right place. But whatsoever things that the Kenyan people wanted to hear in matters to do with the cost of living and how to tackle those issues that they are currently grappling with, President Ruto was out of touch. As much as I know the deputy majority is actually defending what the president said, because it's the deputy majority leader, and we also saw the majority leader, Imani Ichung'wah, who had a lot of positive things to say about what President Ruto was doing and how he was trying to alleviate Kenya's default system, of which we could default if we do not pay up the debt that we owe to the IMF and the other international banks that from where we have borrowed our money. So I feel that there is a lot that needs to be done. It's just a lot of lip service for me, but on the ground, things are really different. People are crying. Even the UDA members who voted for the president, they're actually complaining and they are regretting. Why did I actually vote for this government? And this government came into the forefront with the premise that they are actually going to deal with the common wananchi. These are the mamambogas and the boda bodas through their manifesto, the bottom-up economic agenda. But actually, as you can see, the fuel prices have gone up. The energy prices have gone up. Putting food on the table is actually a problem. And you remember President Ruto said that maize costs between 60 and 75 shillings. I was like, okay, I had to call my mother on this and ask her, please, kama hiyo mahindi sahi ni 60 to 75, bobebu nitumie ka gunia moja tafadhali. She laughed. Alinichekelea. She really laughed and she's like, Gorogoro moja, it's 145 bob. Don't let the president lie to you. So this is just PR gimmicks. Before the State of the Nation address, and actually, before even we put the clip on Edwin Sifuna, he said that these are PR gimmicks, man. These are PR gimmicks that Ruto was trying to fool us with, even before he went to the houses to talk about his submission on what he has actually done. We needed to know, what are you doing? What are some of the things that you're grappling with? Just give us an honest scrutiny of what is happening in the country. Don't paint a good picture when we actually see that things are not really working out. And then you're talking about corruption. Look at what just happened yesterday. Don, do you think this is there are many hits and misses in his speech?
According to me, the way that you said, and many people are saying, it's like maybe there's a Kenya that the Kenya Kwanza and Ruto supporters live in, maybe yenye sisi tuishi. Maybe they are speaking about another country, ama another Kenya in somewhere, and we are out of it na tujui. Maybe or maybe we unaona ile wenye Azimio wanasema wanataka Kenya yao, maybe sha happen na tujui. Maybe
maybe to secede, they want to secede what were Azimio in upande wao.
Maybe it has already happened, maybe, and we are living at na issues zetu si wenyewe. Understand?
Jipange.
Yeah, so because most of the things they are saying, most of them are not in touch with what the common mwananchi is doing on the ground, or is not in line with what normal mwananchi is going through hapa kwa ground. Because according to Sifuna alikuwa nasema bado there are those phone calls maybe the president was maybe made before his the State of the Nation address, and he said that those calls were scripted, because according to maybe to the content of those calls, they said that those people that maybe were called were not common mwananchi as such. Unajua common mwananchi are those people that wanaamka and then they hawana pesa kwa mfuko. They have to work very hard for the money to come to their pockets. You understand? because it will not make sense if you call maybe a businessman. Let's say there's a difference between a businessman and a common and a worker. You see now the worker is feeling the heat direct of what's happening on ground. You understand? So according to Sifuna, alikuwa anasema those calls was scripted. Maybe it was a PR gimmick. It was a PR show. And the way I say every day, running a government is not running an entertainment firm. You have to be realistic. Easy kiki. You have to be realistic on what you say to the people, and your voice should be clear. As a president, you should speak. Kama kitu ni mbaya, ambia watu ni mbaya now. Don't usipake chocolate juu ya mawe.
Let me cut you short there. You just said that President Ruto is actually saying kama kitu ni mbaya, ambia watu ni mbaya. But isn't he, as the head of state, supposed to give people hope? As much as you're supposed to tell people that things are really bad, tell us what you're doing about it. Tell us what measures you've taken. As much as the economy is taking a downturn as we speak, I've had currently around the globe that the day before yesterday, the oil prices fell. And still in Kenya, oil prices are zinapanda. Why?
Actually, yesterday there was a report by the EPRA. They said that it has dropped by 2 bob. At least there's a 2 shillings relief for those for petrol cost. That was according to EPRA yesterday. They gave an update. So I don't know, because according to the reports we saw in TZ, the cost of fuel actually dropped by 30 shillings, like 30 Kenya shillings. So I don't know why Kenya maybe kumekuwa tuna drop na 2 bob CLA, but maybe that's the way they
it's a good start for me. If there's a drop, then it's a good start. But then again, as much as Kenya's economy is spiraling out of control, I think the government or the President Ruto should actually look at the measures that he's taking to ensure that the economy of the country is stabilized. And he talked about paying debt, and he actually assured Kenyans that there is no defaulting in this one. I think that is a very good move, to pay debt so that we do not become bankrupt as a country and end up at the mercy of the institutions like IMF, where we will have to, do what they want, like dictate the policies in the country, which might be detrimental to the country. I think that is one good thing that I had from the president. Something else good, because we've almost everybody except the UDA supporters or the UDA proponents in the government institutions and outside are supporting what the government is doing. But as a person who is looking outside, looking in critically at what the government is doing, I think the issue of fertilizer, they keep on saying that walipata fertilizer ilikuwa around 7,500, right? And it dropped up to 2,500. There is this controversy around that fertilizer. Is it a free fertilizer that came from Russia? Is it? Well, but it's working according to the farmers on the ground from upcountry on counties. They're saying that it has actually brought a lot of returns. But then again, if you're importing something, if it's true, I'm not saying that it's true, that is something that we'll have to investigate and do our due diligence on that. But if it's true that that fertilizer actually was imported from Russia, then why are you selling it to us? Mbona wanauza? Like, seriously, government? Why? And at the same time, if that story is not true, then I think that's a good thing.
Let's listen in. According to Sifuna, he was saying that that was a free donation from the Russian government, and he's
supposed to substantiate that remark actually today.
He is yet to give that evidence. He was referring to the speech, a particular speech by Russia President Putin. On that, but let's listen into what its submission yesterday about the state of the nation addressed by President Ruto.
At the first instance, where I felt he was giving misleading information to the country, I would not be able to manage myself to keep quiet. I would have been strongly pushed to say something. And Mr. Speaker, I would have run afoul of the rules of this House. And although the Speaker of the Senate might be lenient because they know me, I was not very sure about the Speaker of the National Assembly, whether he would extend some of the courtesies that you have extended us in this House. Mr. Speaker, I suspected that if I went for that speech, I probably would be serving now an expulsion from the House for a minimum of 6 months. And I will go into the reasons why, Mr. Speaker, I did not trust the head of state to paint the true picture of the state of the nation. In my mind, Mr. Speaker, the state of the nation is the state of the people. Senator Mungatana has spoken very eloquently here about the state of the creditors of this country, that the creditors who gave us money during Eurobond are happy they are going to be receiving their payment. He should be asking himself, how many Kenyans are still able to service their own debts? That is the state of the nation that I would want to address. Mr. Speaker, so what I did, I joined a group of friends, and you will indulge me here, in playing a drinking game. Mr. Speaker, the rules of the game are very simple. Every single time you thought that a statement that was untrue, or even partially untrue, from the head of state, you had to take a shot of whiskey. Mr. Speaker, needless to say, by the end of the president's speech, we were extremely inebriated because of the half-truths and open lies that we believe the president told before the House of Parliament. And I will get into the specifics. Mr. Speaker, my expectation has always been that during a State of the Nation address, because the Constitution requires it.
What is your point of order, Senator Mungatana?
I know the Honorable Sifuna could be very passionate, but is the use of the word open lies, referring to the speech by His Excellency the President, parliamentary? And if not, can he withdraw and restrict to parliamentary language, Mr. Speaker?
Senator Sifuna, I think the use, you can still express yourself without necessarily using such words that may not be parliamentary.
Mr. Speaker.
And I know exactly, you understand exactly what I'm saying.
Mr. Speaker, replace every time I've used the word open lies, raising the values under Article 10. And I was specifically looking out for the address to address 3 values set out under Article 10. The first one, Mr. Speaker, is national unity and inclusiveness, which I will take together. Mr. Speaker, we live in an era where we are being told every single day that in fact, if you did not vote for this government, you have no shares in this government, and that you should expect nothing at all. What I expected the head of state to do is to tell us that ever since those pronouncements have been made, I have taken certain steps to rein in members of my administration who might not understand what Article 10 speaks about when it speaks of inclusivity.
Senator Edwin Sifuna, Nairobi Senator, very passionate, very forthright, very candid. Some strong submissions there.
Yeah.
The state of the nation is the state of the people. What I've gotten from what he was saying. Yeah, what do you think about his submission?
I think from his side, and of course the opposition should represent the people, especially in parliament, and to be able to correct the government on behalf of the people. Because sometimes the people, so in this era, because some of African governments, the people don't have a say in most of these governments now in Africa. Most of the people don't have say in some things that are happening in the government or in their countries. So I think the opposition should stand out. They are actually, from the way Sifuna is portraying his points and is giving his view on President Ruto's speech, I think just saying the truth, just hitting the nail on his head. Because if I always say, if indeed Ruto was kama Ruto angekuwa anatutakia mazuri as a country, you should have taken up some measures to maybe to reduce the cost of living and be able to balance on some things that he's doing as a president. Yesterday we saw CS Kindiki announced reduction of the cost of getting IDs and other stuff he had announced earlier. So I think right there was the voice of the people that spoke loud, because once again there's a power in social media, because we saw that thing was trending everywhere. There were memes here and there, like trying to ridicule the government about the cost of IDs. It's like they were saying that if you lost the IDs, none of them, they place two warthogs and they say that those are Ngirimbiri, and then there were many memes here and there. So I think the government is just taking actions without maybe thinking twice, thinking about it, and maybe employing public participation on some issues they are undertaking. So on that issue of the government like doing or approaching some issues without caution or without thinking twice, there is this MP and nominated MP for ODM, John Mbadi, says that the government should sack all its advisors, or I think economic advisors, and hire them instead. So let's listen into that, John Mbadi, and then we'll wind up on that. John Mbadi, yeah.
He has sold us excuses. So, Mr. Speaker, I just want to remind the two leaders that you cannot sell hope and excuses 14 months into your leadership. I want to remind them that this administration has taken 25% of the time that they were given by the people of Kenya, if at all the people of Kenya gave them, and they are remaining with only 75% of the time. And this is not the time to tell us that you have stabilized the economy when the facts and figures are pointing opposite direction. This is not the time to tell us that we are out of the hole when we know we are inside the hole and we are continuing to dig the hole even further. Mr. Speaker, where is the evidence that we have stabilized the economy? Number one, if you want to know that the economy is stabilized, you will have to check the interest rates. The interest rates, Mr. Speaker, on government premium instruments like treasury bills and bonds are in the region of 16 and 18%, signaling that our banks would definitely and certainly charge around 24%. That is not an economy that has been stabilized. Mr. Speaker, our shilling is on a free fall, we know it. And no matter how many excuses you give us about it, we deserve answers to that. Mr. Speaker, the other issue that we need to look at is inflation down. The answer is no. Actually, the only inflation that has gone down is food-led inflation. But non-food item inflation is biting this country and biting it hard. And starting with the prices of fuel products, yes, we know there are challenges in the global economy. There are challenges in the Middle East, which again you were told, Mr. Speaker, during the times of campaigns. By that time you were saying our prices of fuels had nothing to do with the problems that we were facing in Ukraine and the rest. I don't want to go that direction because we have talked about it a lot of times. But there are solutions to the price of fuel that we could use to reduce at least the price of fuel to under 200 shillings. And that is, this was not the right time to increase taxation on fuel products or petroleum products. It was done, Mr. Speaker, against the advice of all economists, leading economists in this country. Mr. Speaker, if I was the president, the first thing I would do would be to fire all my economic advisors and economic team and get fresh ones with fresh minds to advise me appropriately. The purchasing power, Mr. Speaker, of Kenyans has been eroded. And therefore you are telling Kenyans that they are better off. Where is that evidence? Ask Kenyans in the streets of Eldoret, streets of Kisumu, streets of Mombasa, streets of Nairobi. I don't know what percentage of Kenyans will tell you today that their life is better than it was a year ago. most Kenyans will tell you that their lives are worse off. You cannot, when economy is not doing well, you cannot increase or change taxation policy to the disadvantage of consumers. You cannot increase taxation when when people are struggling. And therefore, where we are, you have affected the purchasing power. When you affect the purchasing power by reducing people's disposable income, what is the net effect? The net effect is reduced demand for goods and services. What is therefore again the net effect of that? Low production. What is the net effect of that? Unemployment. And therefore, how are you helping the economy? Mr. Speaker, you cannot claim that you are fighting corruption when your own senior officers are using government resources to hire 8 choppers to a single fundraiser in the village. You are asking all your ministers, cabinet secretaries, on a day, Monday, you buy seedlings for 10,000 and you hire a chopper for 1 million to go and plant the trees. What kind of austerity measure is that? Mr. Speaker, I want to conclude by saying that Kenya is in a drip. If at all we were talking of Kenya being in ICU before the last election, it is now in a drip, and we are just surviving by the grace of God. We are praying that somehow some miracle happens, that Kenya survives. At this rate, with this administration.
That was John Badi making some very strong submissions there against what President Ruto said. And yeah, he referred mostly to the tree planting activity that happened on Monday. That was a holiday. The tree planting activity was maybe there was poor planning there on my part. He referred to the use of helicopters by the CSS and the government employees, which was not really necessary. And I think that there's a lot of truth in what he is saying, because what President Ruto said in the State of the Nation address does not commensurate with the feelings of Kenyans currently, and he's actually out of touch, because Kenyans actually want to see real tangible measures there that are being done to ensure that this economy is stabilized. Matters to do with fuel. What happened to fuel subsidy? It was removed. Now things have skyrocketed up. What energy sector? Right now, token hata hazikai kwa nyumba. For example, if you're working from home, it's just really, really crazy. Don.
Yeah, so according to me, he actually said the truth. Apart from that, apart from maybe the employees using choppers to fly all over, like every Sunday for church services, for other stuff. So back then I had I was concerned. Maybe I was just asking by myself. During the start of the reign of President Ruto, he said that there was a church that was being developed. Just a bit. There was a church that was being started at State House. So I thought maybe starting the church at State House was like a means of, like every Sunday, President Ruto, Dupiga Shagwa and other stuff from the maybe State House and from the government will be convening every Sunday at State House for church services. That was my thought. But later we have seen President Ruto, if he's in the country, you see, if he's in the country, he keeps moving up and pale, going to the counties, doing this for church services, especially every Sunday. And then when he's idle, I don't know if I can put it like that, he flies out of the country. But now these are concerning maybe going to church every Sunday. You see, my thought was that the money, if indeed the president was maybe keen on reducing the government expenditures, he should reduce on the number of trips that the government is making every Sunday to visit churches, to attend services. You understand? Because they say that during the times of Uhuru Kenyatta, he wasn't that believer. He's a believer, of course, but he wasn't used to go to churches.
You're judging. You're judging Uhuru. How do you know he wasn't a believer?
I'm saying, I've said he was. I don't know. That's his personal.
Stick to what you know.
Yeah, let me stick to what I know. So what I was saying that the government should be keen on reducing the expenses that it uses every Sunday to go to churches for Harambee, because I can say that there's just a good budget that the government uses every Sunday to attend church. You understand? Because from the president only, there are a number of cars, vehicles used for that entourage, that convoy, and then maybe if it's a service that's being attended by, for example, Ruto, and then we have Gachagua, we have the Prime CS, Musalia Mudavadi, maybe for example, Speaker. You understand? So, and for each and every office, there is an entourage that comes with the person going to a particular meeting. You understand? So, if there is an entourage or a convoy of vehicles, for example, if there are those vehicles, we will see that there will be much money from the government that will be spent, because and then there is that money that now they give to those churches. I can't say for sure that President Ruto maybe gives his own money or the money for the government. Who owns that money to know that it comes maybe from his pocket or from the government? If DP Gachagua goes and gives 5 million to a particular a church or a school, and then gives maybe a lunch money to students like 500,000, who is there to audit that money if indeed it comes from his pocket or from the government? You understand? So as much as they are complaining that things are bad, they should just maybe try and come up with the issues, or come up with the ways of limiting some expenditures, because it will not be making sense for a common mwananchi that you are going all the way to Busia. To Busia, of course, we have vehicles that will be accompanying President Ruto there. We have maybe the flight. We have those. We have many stuff. So I think he should consider maybe holding the church services at State House. That will be like a first step to reducing the expenditures from the government. Even if maybe, for example, it's using his money, but still for a common mwananchi, because he's a president, you will not know if he's using his money, or even if he's using his money, he should just maybe try and sympathize with Kenyans and understand the situation of Kenyans, and hold the services at State House. It will be easier. Maybe if there is a government function, of course, he has the obligation to attend those services, those government functions like launches of projects and other stuffs. But using government money for every Sunday at churches, me on my side is to, of course, doing God's work is good, but on my side, it is not making sense. And then you say that things are bad kwa ground, the cost of living is continue kuenda juu, and then telling people that bei ya unga may reduce, and then on Sunday you're going to worship with them, and then trying to convince them that things will be better. Even if you are sending hope to the people, let your ways prove that. Let your ways shows that indeed you care for the people. You understand? Because to me, it's like I gave an example of husband and wife, the house. The husband goes out there and eats nyama choma, and then tells the wife, wewe pika sukuma wiki, like every day. And the wife knows that the husband goes for nyama choma, and then when he comes home, he tells the wife to cook sukuma wiki and then eat with the children. It will not be making sense at all. So as much as you're selling hope to the people, let your ways show that indeed you are working towards the betterment of the people of Kenya. What do you think?
Well, it's like just you have reiterated I think the government should cut costs. Mostly, we have heard that President Ruto has gone outside the country, matters, bilateral talks, and all those things they're putting together. 41 trips in total. That is just 1 year, right?
Yeah.
So he needs to cut the trips and concentrate on stabilizing the economy in the country. He needs to reorganize his PERC, the people that he's working with. Those economic advisors, do they actually know what they're doing and what they're saying? Or is it just a matter of, experimenting, and they do not actually know the outcome of what policies they are putting in place? And also, I think they need to reorganize everything, ministries, the things that they're doing on the ground, the ministers, I mean the CSs, actually what they're doing there for agriculture. That is key to this economy. Agriculture is the backbone of this economy. What is the CS of agriculture actually doing to ensure that there is food security in this country? What policies has he put in place? Let those policies be policies that actually commensurate to the needs of the Kenyans as we speak.
Yeah.
And right now we have rains, and currently there are places in this country that are facing floods. There's a conversation going around about the talk whereby President Ruto said that we have El Ninos coming up, but the meteorological department director said that the El Ninos will not be coming anytime soon. Then we have the deputy Rigathi Gachagua coming to naysay what the president said. So apparently there is a law that is revolving around that is being actualized at the Senate by Senator Aaron Cheruyot, whereby if you come up and predict your own weather, you predict weather as it's supposed to be, and that's the job of the meteorological department, and you submit it to the public or to the media, then you're going to be charged 1 million Kenya shillings. I think the government is having a lot of misplaced priorities. CS Kindiki is increasing charges, but I'm glad that he has revoked charges and of fees and levies for immigration and citizen services such as IDs and birth certificates. I think he's doing this to allow for more public participation, which is a good thing. So I think the government needs to put its house in order. I think that's what Ruto needs to sit with his cabinet secretaries, really go down to the issues that are happening. Really listen to Kenyans. Listen to what the Kenyans are saying. Don't try to say that you actually know what is happening and you're not listening to the people on the ground and their cries. So he needs to listen and actually offer those solutions, because it is the citizens who put them there. So he needs to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. For those who have watched on who are watching us on Facebook, thank you very much. Actually, we are signing out. What we'll tell Kenyans, like maybe President Ruto has a good plan and for Kenyans, and his team is maybe what is letting him down. We don't know about that, but first of all, what I will tell Kenyans, kitu kwanza, keep your faith positive on God. See, as much as maybe President Ruto is doing what he's doing, need the wisdom of God, and the wisdom of God to those he's serving with. Where they marry that vision for President Ruto and see maybe the positive, maybe President Ruto is having for Kenyans. So we'll sign out. If you're watching us on Facebook and you're not a follower, you can follow us on Facebook, Latecast TV Kenya, and we have an entertainment Facebook page, Latecast TV Entertainment. Please follow that page. And then you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you are not subscribed on YouTube, please follow us on YouTube, and then you can also follow us on Twitter and then TikTok. Still there, we are on various platforms. If you want to advertise with us, there is a number that will be appearing on the screen there. 0721503924. You can WhatsApp us or call us, and we'll talk about the race, maybe the race you want us to advertise for you, and we'll be good. Continue supporting us and following us on our upcoming news, our daily news, daily videos, daily posts there, and we'll be glad for your support. I've been your host, Don Martin Tryon.
And I'm Ninjal Kolek.
Yeah, see you tomorrow on same place, same time.
Thank you for watching.